You asked me to recommend 5 Latin American movies. I chose 5 movies from the past 5 years. So here's my top 5 movies. And top in the sense that they're interesting, not because they're the most important or the most meaningful. They're just 5 interesting movies. So, we'll start off with 2013. And my film from 2013 that I chose is called Club Sandwich. Club Sandwich is a very simple film in a sense, about a mother, Paloma, and a son, Hector, who go on the off-season to a resort. But in it, you can see that the really strong familiar connection that they have as a single mother and her son are slowly being torn apart by age. It's a really beautiful movie, I think, because it shows the depths of and the complexities of our human relationships kind of in general, right? Not necessarily only the mother-son story, but also in the relationships that the characters have with other people throughout the film. Like Temporada de Patos and Lake Tahoe, Im's other movies, he shows this like little bit of what an everyday moment in these people's lives might be like. So it's a really universal movie in that sense, while at the same time really maintaining very specific representation of Mexican class in the sort of first decade of the 2000s. It's a really wonderful film. The second film that I recommended is also a Mexican film directed by Alonso Ruiz Palacio from 2014. It's called Güeros. Güeros is a movie about a boy whose his difficult relationship with his mom again, forces her to like kick him out and send him. He's like maybe 10, 11, 12 years old. She sends him to Mexico City to live with his older brother, Sombra, for a period of time, right? Sombra is a student at the UNAM, the Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico, which in the film is in the middle of a long strike, right? And it's a movie, too, that expresses a really love for cinema. So it's a very meta movie in a lot of ways. So there are a lot of not cloying, like really genuine, exuberant, passionate references to the French Nouvelle Vague. And I think what the most interesting part about the movie is that it has this joy, this exuberance, not only the cinematic nods, but also this representation of what it means to be young and fighting against things that you don't necessarily understand. It's kind of a love letter to Mexico City, too, as it transverses the city throughout its production and its diegesis. It's a really, really lovely film in that sense. So we've talked about 2013, 2014, so we're at 2015 now. And I'd like to recommend a film by a commercial director, sort of breaking with the 2 films the 2 Mexican films I've talked about. And this commercial film is by Ariel Winograd. Winograd is an Argentine director who maybe you could place kind of in a Judd Apatow type of place in cinema. So he's making movies for mass audiences, but maybe that are a little quirky or different. But the movie that I'm recommending is actually made for an organization called Fundación Huésped that dedicates itself to fighting HIV AIDS in Argentina. The plot is ridiculous, and I have to read it to you because the twists are so convoluted that they're hard to get to. Dispuesto a todo, cuenta la historia de Julián Viravent, un actor en decadencia quien debe competir con Simón Amadeo, la nueva figura de la actuación. And Julián in this movie is like the Tom Cruise of Argentina, who doesn't get Tom Cruise roles anymore, right? So he gets pretty jealous of this character, Simón. And Simón is this very serious method actor, right? La nueva figura de la actuación por el papel protagónico que le devolverá la fama y el prestigio perdido. Para eso decide investigar sobre el VIH Y así es que conocerá a Avril Zilberberg, una joven con VIH, y también a su padre, Leirado. Después de atravesar situaciones desopilantes, Julián entenderá que no es necesario vivir con el virus para comprometerse en la respuesta a la epidemia del SIDA, ¿no? Entonces, it's a really silly movie in so many types of ways, but it, I think, does a pretty amazing job of integrating commercial methods to express a particular type of social issue. And it is, quite frankly, a hilarious. It is a really, really, really funny movie. I think that Winograd is able to play with convention in unconventional, interesting types of ways. The fourth film that I recommend is from 2016, of course, and it's directed by a young Chilean director named Claudia Guaquimisa. It's called Mala Junta. Mala Junta, like perhaps Club Sandwich and Güeros, is more of an art house movie, but it has a much different type of and a much sort of socially involved narrative and thematics. Mala Junta touches upon another and perhaps the fundamental social issue of the 21st century, which are environmental crises. So the film is another relationship between two young men, Tano and Cheo. So Tano is kind of a sort of socially marginalized, delinquent young man from Santiago who gets sent to the south of Chile to live, and there he becomes friends with Cheo. The two sort of have a burgeoning friendship that gets problematized by the death of a Mapuche leader. So you have the sort of indigenous fighting for not only their rights but also environmental rights in Chile. I think what really draws me to this movie is that we see the way in which social issues are inextricably connected to environmental ones in the 21st century, and how this is going to increasingly be an issue for not only filmmakers, but obviously, but for people throughout the world as we push into a world that's going to be totally fundamentally changed by climate change. And the final movie that I'd recommend from 2017 builds upon this environmental question. It's Pacificum, El Retorno al Océano, directed by the Peruvian Mariana Chudi. And in what is, as far as I know, the first sort of nature documentary in Peru, is talking about the vital importance of the Pacific Ocean to Peruvian social life. And in a sense, what it's doing is it's a call to arms for the creation of marine reserves off the coast of Peru. So this idea that humans and the natural world can exist together, but humans need to make space for the natural world to sort of vibrantly live, I guess. But I'd say most interesting about it, again, is this engaging with the environment as an important social issue for the nation. But those are the 5 movies that I'd recommend that people check out, not because they're important, but because I tell them to.